So a few weeks ago I posted a video of my drone crashing in the Skagit River. It sat in the river for about 2.5 hours before we found it. When we got it back, the battery was missing and the camera and gimbal was missing. I let it dry out for about 2 weeks before I shipped it back to DJI for warranty. And here we're gonna see after drying out for 2 weeks if it's actually going to fly or anything. I tested it out at home, all the motors work. The only thing that's wrong with it is that the landing gear don't go into travel mode or doesn't retract or anything. It's kind of stuck in the way it was when it was flying, when it crashed in the water. I've read that you can manually adjust the landing gear, but I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't find out how you actually can adjust the landing gear. No one has a video or there's no tutorial or anything like that, how to explaining how to retract the landing gear. So the landing gear is kind of stuck in place right now. I'm going to ship it back to DJI just like this. And there's a new battery on here, as you can see. One of my spare batteries, which we're going to use today to test it out. That's where the gimbal sat. So the gimbal got lost, and one of the battery that was on it got lost also. I kind of taped up the wires here so they don't short circuit or anything like that and do any more damage. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead now and turn it back over, and we're gonna go and try to see if it actually flies after being submerged in water for about 2.5 hours. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on now. Like I said before, all the blades, all the motors work. Now that I have it here at the park, the landing gear worked. It didn't work at home. It actually got stuck in place. But now that I turned it on over here, for some reason, it actually retracted and went into place. So now, after being submerged in water for about 2.5 hours, I'm going to go ahead and test it out and see if it actually flies. So like I said, the motors worked. Everything worked except for the landing gear, but the landing gear now works. So we're going to go ahead and take it off the ground and see if it actually flies. And there you have it, guys. It actually flies. And that's a very good sign, guys. That's a very awesome sign that everything kind of works. The landing gear works just fine. It gets great feedback from the controller. It detracts and retracts, goes into landing mode, and then goes into flying mode with a click of a button. It still fights the wind. All the program still works just fine. The only thing that's missing from here is the camera and the gimbal. Lost the battery in the water. It's out there somewhere along with the camera and gimbal. As you can see, it goes right back into place very nicely, like right out of the box. I'm very happy right now. After being in water for about 2.5 hours, just sitting in water, few minor scratches and damages on the motors and on the body itself got damaged a little bit, but everything else seems to work. So here, go ahead and retract the landing gear, and I'm going to fly around the park just a little bit, test it out, see if it actually performs the way it should. So there you see, after being submerged in water, after crashing, doing some weird shit and hitting a branch and falling into the Scats River and getting washed down the river for about 2 hours in rocks and branches and all sorts of stuff in the water. The camera and on the battery that was installed on the device got lost in the river. The gimbal got ripped off and the camera got lost in the water. But after being submerged in water for about 2.5 hours and drying out for about the same 2.5 weeks, just letting it sit, dry out for a while, actually performs pretty well. Um, almost, I would say almost the same as out of the box. I'm not too sure and certain. Um, Seem to have a little bit of a noise, weird noise coming from one of the motors. So probably one of the motors needs to be replaced. It still flies pretty well, does everything that you want it to, um, reacts to every movement on the controller. There is no inspected device and there's no rust or anything noticeable right now on the device anywhere. And it was fresh water, so that's a plus. If it was in salt water, then I probably couldn't say the same. After inspecting the device all the way over, there's no rust. There's a few scratches and nicks on the motors and on the body. The landing gear, everything else looks good. So it's a pretty tough device after crashing and falling in water and getting beat up, washed down with the current. Flies and performs very well for happened to what happened to it. DJI is going to take a look at the device and warranty it out for me. Check it over. If they find anything wrong, they'll send me another device. They'll replace the broken parts or the nicked motors and stuff like that, and send me back a refurbished or a brand new device, depending on the state of the current device here. So all in all, the Inspire one is pretty tough, pretty durable. I've seen pretty bad crashes and stuff, and people just install new props and take it right back up. In my case, it fell in the water and got washed down stream with the current for 2.5 hours before we discovered it. Laying stuck to a branch on the side of the river with the gimbal, camera, and battery dislodged and got lost in the water. So all in all, still a pretty good device. I think it's a pretty good buy for the price. Very durable. There's not much to it that can get damaged. It's all almost plastic and aluminum. The body is aluminum. The landing gear is aluminum. The body is plastic. It's just wires and cables and rubber and stuff in there. Not too much to get damaged. The most I was worried about was the motors, which isn't that expensive to replace. But all in all, it still works. I'll turn it on again and show you. Take it up. Yeah.